It's the beginning of the year, probably my least favorite time of the year, and yet still, love is in the air. No, I am not talking about chocolates or dinner dates or you whispering sweet nothings on the nape of my neck.
We smile at each other, we hug. I've kissed him on the neck, softly. He's felt my warm, steamy breath on the nape of his neck, even on the small of his back.
I'm talking about a small reminder of the things I love about Survivor. Because I do. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't. And I think a lot of fans out there do too. And no, stop it. You're gonna make Jeff blush. Let's just get into it. This is going to be a slightly different video than usual. Instead of a top 5 or ranking of some sort, instead, I'm just going to go down the line and talk about several aspects of Survivor that get me to love it as much as I do. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you like about the show too, and maybe we can all find some commonality to better appreciate what the show has had to offer on a consistent basis for over 2 decades now. When I think about what I love about Survivor, the first thing that comes to mind is the sheer fist pump moments the show has had. You know what I mean, the jaw-dropping dopamine rush of seeing an idol played correctly, or a blindside successfully come through, or even just my favorites winning the game. A clutch immunity win when a player needed it more than ever, or perhaps a clutch shot in the dark landing after the entire tribe voted for said player.
Caleb, you are. No!
The show itself has been edited so well over the many seasons, and it often knows how to tell the many stories of the season in an exciting way. And because the show is often edited with the results in mind, it can really lead to satisfying results each episode. The best seasons do a great job at building the players and the rivalries and the bonds that are formed, and it makes rewatching seasons sometimes even more rewarding as you get to appreciate how much craft and care is put into each episode. This part of the show is like a drug. I have never found another reality show that does it as well on such a consistent basis for so long. It's almost like a sport in some ways, like a socio-political gladiatorial arena. You've got underdogs triumphing or top dogs showing us how to do it well. You've got Hail Mary moves that somehow work, or even out of the box creative strategies that color me impressed time and again. Really, the creative strategy that emerges from each new season going all the way back to the first one is wild. Survivor is often compared to chess, but I think that is doing a disservice to how utterly complicated Survivor really is. It is not chess, it is not checkers, it is a completely different beast altogether. People can be so fascinating, and Survivor brings them from all over the continent, all over the world, to play with and against each other, and from there, it's fireworks. Mark Burnett, the original producer of the show, said that the first scene between Rich and Sue in Borneo, witnessing their differences of approach to the experience, the game, the show, was the perfect encapsulation of what Survivor is.
We have to function together or we fail.
What do you think we're doing now?
Not functioning together at all.
I'm a redneck, and I don't know corporate world at all. And corporate world ain't gonna work out here in the bush.
It's different points of view attempting to overcome the same obstacle, the elements of the island and the game. I can't help but appreciate how much variety comes out of the many seasons, how ingenuity is rewarded. Richard Hatch throws the first final immunity, and it is sheer brilliance. Even Jeff Probst is perplexed. I love how the show rewards creativity in tactics, both social and physical. Winning challenges is a true feat of superiority, just as is winning over people. To be the sole survivor, you have to be the best within that particular group. And it's often the most diplomatic, the most clever, and the most cunning who can adapt to each group that comes out on top. Dare I say, the cream rises to the top, and it's because the game of Survivor itself is so well crafted in its design. Which is another thing I love. Survivor is one of the first reality game shows of its kind, and it is arguably the best. I personally think there's a good argument for it being the best, and I love how the game itself is so airtight in its design that if you just take the basic concept, a few tribes, a merge, some challenges, a final tribal with a jury vote, it all works. A lot of other game shows attempt to mimic what Survivor made popular, and they always have design flaws that don't lend themselves well to TV. Survivor has worked perfectly since season 1, and I can't even say that's the case with Big Brother, its sister show, the other show I devote a lot of time to. On top of the game being a lot of fun, I also want to acknowledge and talk about the dozens upon dozens of editors who do a fantastic job with their crew. While not perfect, and I do hold some criticism for some seasons, I can't not appreciate how humorous and subtle the editors can be. There is so much underlying humor in any episode of Survivor. Just Google the Funny 115 if you want to really dive deep into it, because the editors love to make a meal out of the lunacy and bizarre adventure Survivor forces these people to go through each day. Existing on an island and voting each other out like Lord of the Flies is gonna produce unusual results and get people to say and do wacky things, and time and again I get a kick out of what we get to see. Believe it or not, it's not always about the gameplay. A lot of times it's actually barely about the gameplay, but who gets cast and what kind of humor, intended and unintended, they bring with them. I love the sheer amount of foreshadowing and red herrings and how I get to don my detective hat and attempt to crack the season before the final results are revealed. I love to follow the narrative of the season and the editing as a whodunit murder mystery. Who's the winner? Who's the runner-up? Who's the merge boot? With decades of seasons to sift through, it's like a game within a game, and the editors are front and center, and each new season brings with it a new mystery to solve. And you know, half the time I am wrong, and I am glad to be, because it makes the shock value that much greater.
Dembo, Dave, Brett, John, Eric, that's 5. I am another millionaire.
The winner of Survivor Samoa, Natalie.
But even more than just the editing, I want to acknowledge how utterly beautiful the cinematography of the show is each episode. Even in the early seasons, before they paid to upgrade their cameras to HD, you can tell the camera crew and the producers are always aiming to have some artistic flair with the shots. The angles, the panoramic sweeping views, whether it's high in the air or deep underwater. I really take it for granted how beautiful Survivor as a show can be, how it features each location so well. It's like eye candy every episode. The recent inclusion of drones has only opened up their capabilities, and hey, when all else fails, just bring in the chopper.
Takes your breath away.
I love how there are so many different types of people from all around the country over the past 20-something years and onward. Who knows where the show's going to end up going? I love how so many of them are involved in the community even after all this time. That I can just shoot them a question asking them about anything and they'll respond because they just still love the show and will keep up with it. With so many people and so many seasons and so much time having passed, it all feels kind of detached and yet at the same time quite familial. Even going back to the beginning, the people on the show are just as much fans as the people who are watching it or talking about it all the time. And yeah, that kind of makes me feel a little bit warm and fuzzy inside.
Hey, Probst.
Thank you.
That was a thank you to you guys.
But in the end, I want to mention how the unique thing about Survivor fans is that, kind of like siblings not being their parents, none of us are the producers. Except that's actually not true. The people who make Survivor are big fans of the show. Some of them have been doing it since the first season even. There are hundreds upon hundreds of people involved behind the scenes, both flying in from abroad as well as local to the location, who work meticulously each year to produce one of the best shows on TV. Even though we only get to see one of them each episode, that being Jeff Probst, the reality is there are dozens of cameras and sound and safety crew and producers and artists and dream teamers just out of the shot, just around the corner, just to make this show as good as we know it can be. And while I've never personally met any of them, as my only interaction with the producers is via disputing copyright claims, Jeff has vouched for them for a long time, most recently on his podcast about being the best crew in the business. And more than anything else, I think it's these anonymous people I take for granted most. I do also have a bit of a soft spot for Jeff and his unbridled passion for the show. The man loves Survivor. I mean, hell, I've been talking about it weekly for 6.5 years, but he has been front and center for over 23. And he's been EP for over half that time, calling the shots, and it's pretty obvious he loves the crap out of this show. He's always wanting to try new things, which consequently also stirs up the online communities to remind him every season how much they prefer the good old days, like Thailand? He's kind of like a family member I've never spoken to, which is kind of weird and parasocial, but I think it's also just a testament to his ability to be so chummy with hundreds upon hundreds of strangers over the many seasons and make it all seem so natural. Well, for the most part.
This is kind of fun challenge you might do at a carnival for laughs while you're having a scone.
What carnival have you seen this at?
All I'm gonna say is that the day Jeff steps down as host is gonna be a weird one. But that's not today. Today is a day of love, of appreciation, of just being thankful for all this stuff and more that I probably forgot to mention. These are many of the things I love about this show. And so again, I want to turn to you and say, let me know what you love about the show too. Don't worry about telling me what you dislike, there's a different video for that. Regardless, thank you to my patrons for loving me enough to support me every month. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to enjoy the little things on your way out, and I will see you in the next one, once I get annoyed again by another terrible twist. Jeffrey, come here. We need to have a talk.
Hi, I just want to say there will be tough times, you will be challenged, you will be vulnerable. And when those moments happen, just remember, you belong to Survivor, because a drink before war is always a good idea.
Jeff P is my name, and I came here to say, you certain this the game that you wanted to play? Sitting in this place and they're all feeling the fear, and they gotta plead their case. Why? Snuff Daddy is here. Yeah, I am the torch snuffer. This game was never easy, son, it's gonna get rougher. See you up in trouble, what you bring in there this night? It better be immunity or outgo your torchlight. I wanna see that idol, man, I'm calling your bluff. Now say hello to Mr. Snuffleupagus. You never saw it coming, now your fire is down. The rest can grab your torches and head back to your camp.